Good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome back to your social science class. Today we are going to begin with the chapter Working of the Institution. Before beginning the chapter, let me give you an idea about our government. See, students, exactly as you have several organs in your body that performs different functions, similarly, our government also has several organs, and those specific organs has specific tasks to perform. Okay, like there are three organs of the government. First is the legislature. Okay, this is the primary organ of the government. What is the task of the legislature? The task of the legislature is to formulate the policies or to make laws for us. Okay, next comes your second organ, that is the executive. What is the task of an executive? The task of the executive is to implement those policies. Okay, what does the executive do? The executive implements those policies on us. Okay, next comes your third organ. What are the third organ of the government? The third organ of the government is the judiciary. Okay. Remember, students, that in India we have a parliamentary form of government. And in that parliamentary form of government, this legislature and this executive, these two organs are interrelated. These two organs are interrelated to each other. Okay, and the judiciary has been kept separate from the other two organs of the government, or you can say the judiciary works as an independent body. Okay, now what is the task of the judiciary? The task of the judiciary is to supervise the working of the legislature and the executive, or you can also say it works as a law reviewing body. Okay, so let us repeat it once again. The legislature, their task is to formulate the policy, okay, or to make laws for us. The task of the executive is to implement those policies, and the task of the judiciary is to review those policies or to look into the matter if those policies that has been made or formulated by the legislature and the policies that has been implemented by the executive are for public benefit or not. Okay, if it is not for public benefit, the judiciary may ask the other two organs of the government to immediately change those laws. Okay, so in this way, the three organs of the government works. Okay, now, let me tell you the composition of the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. Okay, first comes your legislature. Okay, the legislature or the union legislature, if you say, it comprises of the two houses of the parliament. Okay, first is the Lok Sabha, second is the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha is the lower house or the house of people, and the Rajya Sabha is the upper house of the parliament. Okay, so these are the two houses of the union legislature. Next comes your executive. The executive comprises of the president, that is the nominal head, the prime minister, the real executive, and his council of ministers. These three people, they comprises of the executive. Okay, now there are several divisions in the council of ministers that I'll come to next when I discuss with you in details about the executive. Okay, now next comes your judiciary. The judiciary is a three-tier system where you have the Supreme Court at the apex or at the top. Then comes your state high court. In every state you have a state high court, apart from several northeastern states which are very smaller, okay, which are very less population. That's why they all together have a single high court. Okay, apart from that, every state has a high court, and every state also has several district courts or several subordinate courts. So this is the structure of the organs of government. Okay, but now, as I was telling you, that the organs of the government, the two organs of the government, that is the executive and the legislature, they are interrelated to each other. Now I will come to that point. How these are interrelated? See, students, the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha is the lower house of the parliament or lower house of the legislature. So the leader of the leader of the ruling party or the majority party in the Lok Sabha, or you can say in the lower house of the legislature, becomes the executive, or he or she becomes the prime minister. Okay, or you can also say that the prime minister, being an executive, he himself is a member of Lok Sabha, or he himself is a member of legislature. That means we can say that he is internally connected to the legislature also. Okay, not only that, in fact, the Council of Ministers, the cabinet ministers, the ministers of the state, as well as the deputy ministers, they all are the member of executive, as well as they all are the member of legislature also. Okay, so the prime minister and his council of ministers, they themselves are the member of executive, as well as they themselves are the member of your legislature also. Okay, so in this way the two organs are connected. There is one more way by which these two organs are interrelated. How is it? See, students, the executive is responsible to the legislature. What did I say? The executive is responsible to the legislature, or you can see that the prime minister and his council of ministers, they are accountable collectively as well as individually to the Lok Sabha or to the Rajya Sabha. And if they fails to satisfy the legislature by any means, then what happens? The legislature may pass a vote of no confidence motion against the executive, and in that case the prime minister and his entire council of minister will have to resign from their office. Okay, so this is all about the relationship between the organs of the government. Now, as I told you, the judiciary in India has been kept as an independent body. This is an independent body. Now, why it has been kept as an independent body? Just to remain unbiased or impartial. This organ of the government has been kept independent from the other two organs of the government, so that it can work in an unbiased or in an impartial way. Okay, so this is all about this. I gave you an idea about the different organs of the government. Okay, now we will move on to the chapter. So your chapter begins with the topic office memorandum. What are office memorandum? Office memorandum, you can say, they are the special orders that are passed by the government. Okay, what are office memorandum? I am repeating it once again. These are the special order of the government. Okay, one example of an office memorandum has been given in your book. Okay, for example, Mandal Commission. Now, it was an office memorandum that was passed in the year 1979. Okay, regarding the reservation of the seats for the socially backward classes, that is for the SC, ST, and the OBCs. Okay, so this Mandal Commission was passed in the year 1979. However, After the Mandal Commission, it was actually, this Mandal Commission was headed by BP Mandal. Okay, so it was popularly known as Mandal Commission. Actually, this Mandal Commission, it gave its report in the year 1980 and made many changes or recommendations. One of this was 20% of government jobs should be reserved for the socially and educationally backward classes. Now, this for several years, this particular commission or this office memorandum was protested by many parliamentarians, and many parties kept on demanding for the implementation of the commission's recommendation. They wanted, many opposition parties, they wanted or they demanded a change in this Mandal Commission. Okay, and in fact, finally in the year, then came the Lok Sabha election of 1989. All when all this incident was going on, then finally came the Lok Sabha election of 1989, and in that election manifesto, that the Janata Dal, it promised that if voted to power, it would implement the Mandal Commission report. And finally, the Janata Dal did form the government after the election of VP Singh, who became the prime minister during that time, and several developments took place. Okay, after VP Singh became the, the prime minister, several changes took place, and but still this seat reservation was opposed by several people for a long decade. Okay, so finally, how were the disputes solved? See, students, I told you, whenever there is any biasness or whenever any chaos is there among the two organs of the government, that is the legislature and the executive, then comes your judiciary in between. Okay, so, when the chaos took place in the legislature as well as between the executive and the legislature regarding the passing of this Mandal Commission, then came the Supreme Court and the High Court. Okay, now the Supreme Court and the High Court in India, it settled dispute arising out of the government decision. Okay, so what happened, some people, a number of opposition took place, okay, against this commission, and they appealed to the court to declare this order null and void. Finally, and this this commission was inspected by a bench of 11 judges in the Supreme Court. This commission was investigated by, you can say, by a bench of 11 judges of the Supreme Court. And finally, by the year 1992, the Supreme Court gave its verdict, and it declared that this order of the government of India was valid. Okay, and at the same time, the Supreme Court asked the government to modify its original order. And what modification was to be made? The Supreme Court declared that the well-to-do person among the backward classes should be excluded from getting the benefit of this seat reservation. Okay, the socially and the financially prosperous people, they should not get benefit of this reservation. Only the backward classes and the educationally and economically socially backward classes genuinely should get the benefit for the seat reservation. Okay, and the office memorandum, and it was declared as an office memorandum on September 8, 1993. The dispute thus came to an end, and this policy has been followed since then. Okay, so this was an example of office memorandum. Now remember, students, when it comes to any decision of the government, who becomes the decision maker? The president, being the head of the state or being the nominal head of the state, becomes a decision maker. Not only the president, in fact the prime minister, his council of ministers and the parliament, they play a very important role as decision maker. See children, in our country, as we have a parliamentary form of government, the parliament is always given a first priority regarding decision making. So who are the decision maker? The primary decision maker are the parliament and the prime minister, being the real executive, and his council of minister. And obviously the president, he just acts as a rubber stamp. He is also a decision maker, but he just acts as a rubber stamp. Now what does a rubber stamp means? It means that practically every decision is being taken by the prime minister, but the president only gives his accent or signature either in favor of that decision or against the decision. Okay, you can say that the president is controlled by the prime minister and his council of minister. And also remember that whatever work is being done by the prime minister also, that is done after consulting with the council of ministers, or you can say specifically the cabinet ministers. Okay, so I have already discussed with you about the institutions of government. Now I am going to discuss about the executive. Okay, see students, first of all, if you broadly classify the executive, it can be classified into union executive and state executive. Union executive works as a central executive, whereas your state executive works within the state according to the state list. Okay, now a union executive can be again classified into two categories, that is political executive and permanent executive. That I will come to later on. But before that, let me discuss with you about the political executive. Okay. Now, the political executive, whom does they comprises of? See students, the political executive, it comprises of the president, it comprises of the president, the vice president, the prime minister, council of ministers, and attorney generals of India. Okay, so this few people, they comprises of the union executive. Okay, now I'll come to them one by one. Who is a president? The president is the nominal head. Okay, so the president, what does he do? He plays a very vital role in passing of a bill. He conducts the he signs the international treaties on after consulting with the prime minister. He does several appointment functions also, like appointing the prime minister, his council of minister, appointing the chief judges of India. Okay, and the president plays a very crucial role during an emergency. Now the president has the power to declare three kind of emergencies. First is national emergency, second is state emergency, and third is financial emergency. Though financial emergency has never taken place or it has never occurred in India, but still the president can declare these three kind of emergencies. But always remember that what if, and yes, also remember that the president has the power to pass an ordinance. What are ordinances? Ordinances are the special order of the government. It is passed when the parliament is not in session, and the validity of the ordinance is 6 months. So these functions are being performed by the president, but every task that is done by the president is done after consulting with the prime minister. Okay, because prime minister is a direct representative of the people. He is a member of Lok Sabha or the House of the People, who are directly elected by us, whereas the president is not a directly elected representative of us. He is elected by the electoral college consisting of the members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha. Okay, so the president is indirectly elected. The term of the president is 5 years. Okay, and after 5 years he may again get elected as a president of India. Okay, now his salary and allowances are charged from the consolidated fund of India. Okay, so the president is removed from his office by the process of impeachment. How is a president removed from his office? The president is removed from his office by the process of impeachment. Otherwise, if the office of the president might fall vacant due to uncertain death of the president, or if he resigns from his office. So this is all about your first nominal executive, and as I told you earlier that the president is a nominal executive of our country, as every task is being done by the prime minister practically but in the name of the president. Okay, now next comes your PM or the prime minister. Now this prime minister, he is a very important person in our country. Every decision, every declaration of the government is being announced by the Prime Minister. Why is it so? Because the Prime Minister is our direct representative. See, we all participate in the Lok Sabha election. As soon as you become 18 years, you become an eligible voter. Your name is included in the voters list and you can participate in the Lok Sabha election. And the prime minister, he is elected by that Lok Sabha election only. The leader of the majority party in the is appointed as the prime minister by the president of India. So, what are the tasks of the Prime Minister? The first task of the Prime Minister is to appoint his Council of Minister. What does he do? He appoints his Council of Minister. Okay, actually, officially, the appointment is done by the President, but after consulting with the Prime Minister of our country. Now, he allocates portfolios or he allocates duties to the Council of Minister. Okay, so these are being done by the prime minister, and not only that, every international treaty is being signed by the president after consulting with the prime minister. In case of emergency, even the president declares an emergency after consulting with the prime minister. Okay, so the prime minister, he plays a very important role in your country. Okay, now next comes your council of minister. See students, this council of ministers are the most popular ministers from the Lok Sabha. Now, among this council of ministers, you have three divisions. First is the cabinet minister, second is the ministers of the state, third is deputy ministers. Okay, so first comes your cabinet minister. Who is this cabinet minister? The cabinet bench comprises of 18 to 20 prominent ministers. You can say they are very close to the prime minister or the PM. Okay, whatever important or confidential decision is being taken by the prime minister, that is done after consulting with the cabinet. Okay, and next comes your minister of the state. So, who are this minister of the state? The ministers of the state works according to the state list and they looks after the state affairs. The third division of the council of minister is the deputy minister. Now, who are these deputy ministers? The deputy minister works as an assisting body for the cabinet as well as for the minister of the state. So this is all about the executive of your country. Okay. Today it will be up to this. In my next video, I shall discuss with you about the parliament in details. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.